Wonderful. Hello, my name's Rebecca.
And I'm Steve.
And this is an out of character podcast.
Out of character interview.
Something like that. So, as all of you know, this past weekend we finally did our Long Shadows episodes.
It was a long wait for them Long Shadows.
So many horrible things happened. My computers went kaput, and then my work had me working at 2 different places, and then Steve was on really weird schedules, so things just didn't get done.
But we're back now, and it feels so good to be back. How we've missed you. Oh, I've missed you all so much.
So very much. So, just so that... No, don't mind me. I'm being silly.
Okay, let's do, before we jump into who the interview is with, let's do that normal thing that we never do in any of the episodes that we do. Oh, apologies, we are recording in a different room. That's why you hear the ferret losing her mind in the background.
Yeah, she's really upset because she's in her cage, but we're not in her cage with her, so...
what is it? Like, subscribe, Patreon.
Oh my gosh, do all of our stuff. We are currently rebuilding our website. Some of you might not realize we have a website where we try to write companion pieces to a lot of our episodes. And by try, I mean entirely fail after the first 4. But we're also adding like an out of character stuff so you guys can see what kind of cool projects Steve and I are working on.
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
We'll talk about the modules we're working on because Rebecca's working on some DM's Guild stuff. I'm working on some DM's Guild stuff. We're all trying to get that DM's Guild dosh, you know?
I mean, not really. I just want to do it because people have said they'd want it.
No, I want to do it for the dosh. I'm entirely selfish, yeah.
I mean, I'd want it just so that I can turn around and give more money to other people.
We love your patrons.
So yeah, look out for that. Links, as always, in the description of each episode.
What is he doing? Is he building his room? Like Russell, I can hear him just rolling around upstairs.
Our roommate is just...
Good old Meeps.
Being noisy. Another cool thing going on... Not cool thing going on. Some people asked about... Don't mind me, guys. I'm really tired. We're doing this last minute. Some people asked about the images we used for the Long Shadows episodes. I did those in Photoshop, and I'm really proud of myself. The first night is supposed to have Volt, Cypherus, and Dravago, those 3 moons. The second night has the same moons. The third night actually drops Dravago and gives us Baracus and Therendor, Baracus being a little bit on the shy side of things, which is really cool, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Please feel free to use it. If you want like the like PNGs or JPEGs or whatever, like just hit me up. I think we put it on our website. I'm not entirely positive.
Meeps is running the website. We're not in charge anymore. We've lost control of that whole thing.
It's entirely true. Regardless, this first interview is with the wonderful Jarrod Taylor, who played the rich elf from Sharn, Amaranth Ear something. I don't remember his last name. Regardless, you guys watched the episode. I didn't. You know who I'm talking about. He's a wonderful person. Please enjoy us rambling on.
He's clearly a vampire. And,
Please enjoy us rambling on with Mr. Jarrod Taylor.
What was it?
Hi, my name's Rebecca.
And I'm Steven.
And this is an out-of-character interview with Jarrod.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, it's Jarrod Taylor. I was like, what's his last name? Unless I have it wrong, in which case I'm the worst person that's ever existed.
Anything's possible.
That's not confirmation one way or the other, Rebecca. You enjoy that.
Yeah.
You savor that.
Yeah, glad to be here.
I don't know where to go from there. So, Jarrod, who are you?
Oh, nobody special, I suppose, but avid Eberron fan, DM's Guild creator, one of the tiny little people on the DM's Guild,
Very small, very few things to your name, obviously. Nobody in the Eberron community knows who you are. You're
not at all.
Very
not at
obscure.
All.
Probably
Absolutely
not.
Yeah.
I mean, if you understand Goblin, you might understand Jarrod, but other than that, I don't know.
No. Definitely not. Nobody knows who you are.
Mazo.
You are joining us for a Long Shadows episode as a character, which all of that will be linked down in the description. But tell us how you got introduced to Eberron.
So I was the first one in my circle that noticed Eberron, and I immediately fell in love with the setting. I loved how Eberron would take things that have a place, but spin them in unique ways. I, of course, immediately fell in love with the way that the goblins were handled. That was something that was very inspiring to me. I appreciated the way that Eberron approached magic. It was probably a good solid year after it came out before I was able to twist the arms of my friends to try the setting. And for me personally, it's definitely my favorite. I prefer to run in Eberron if given the opportunity, other than any other campaign setting.
Now, other than D&D, do you play any other tabletop RPGs?
Oh, it's not as many anymore, but I do have way too many source books for way too many different RPGs. Let's see. Call of Cthulhu is a big one that I enjoy. Mutants and Masterminds. A lot of the older World of Darkness games. Again, the older Star Wars editions, Saga, West End. Those are ones that I'm probably the most capable and familiar with. And Seventh Sea was actually my first RPG.
Ooh, that's not one we get typically.
I was gonna say
Cthulhu, yeah,
World of Darkness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of traditional RPGs in there. It's always nice to hear something unique to that person, because everyone has like one that they're like, oh, that one's my thing as well.
We only have one World of Darkness book in this house, and it's like, I want to say it's Werewolf, like 2nd edition.
I don't know. That's not what I would play.
Yeah.
I played World of Darkness one time, and it was really fun, but the DM got too meta too often, and it just spiraled out, and we couldn't keep it going.
So, is there a tabletop RPG, not setting, man, where's my brain? Is there a tabletop RPG that you haven't played that you want to play? That's the question.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got a couple source books for Savage Worlds, but I've never gotten the chance to sit down and play it. That is definitely one that I would like to.
Would you end up running Eberron in that Savage World?
Since there is that conversion, now, I certainly wouldn't mind.
I do want to preface this question with Christian Serrano has listened to our podcast before, so make him proud.
yeah. With all the effort that he put into an Eberron conversion, that would be the one that I would utilize if I was going to play both Savage Worlds and Eberron in that world.
Is there another rule set that you might play an Eberron game in, one that you'd recommend for people? I know we frequently recommend the Good Society as a fantastic way to bring high society into Sharn and to Eberron. Is there a set of rules that you think works well with Eberron as well?
I have found it's not as much a setting as it is a way to play settings, but E6 works really well in Eberron.
What is E6? I'm not familiar with that.
E6, when the last time I played it was in 3.5, you only go up to level 6. And when you would level, you would instead get another feat. So a lot of class restrictions are thrown out the window. So you just become a more powerful version of yourself that you already are as you go along.
Ooh.
See, that is nice to put those kind of restrictions, especially for spells. I think that's an interesting. I'm gonna have to look into E6 here. That seems like a really fun time.
So, a big question: 3.5, 4th edition or 5th edition?
It took me a while to get on the 5th edition train, but I really appreciate the simplicity in storytelling that 5th edition has. I was an avid player of 3.5. I did not play much in 4th edition. I was a bit against it, though having gone back to comb through the Eberron source material, I can see the appeal of it, but I didn't personally play a lot during 4th.
I think that a lot of us, when 4th hit, were just immediately outraged. Like, I just bought 800 books. Please, why are you doing this to me? Ah!
Right.
And then everyone hated 4th edition, so when 5th edition came out, there wasn't that same push, like everyone freaking out because 4th edition is done. Everyone's like, oh, 5th edition, yeah, that's fine.
Right. I had stepped to Pathfinder for a bit, and I was using that one, but when I got more involved in Eberron games, having to learn the current edition, I've really fallen in love with 5th edition.
There are aspects of 5th edition, I'm still 3.5 all the way. There's so many problems with 3.5, but I really, I feel like it's more customizable, and you get...
I prefer to DM 5th edition, but play 3.5.
I think
That's
may
fair.
be the case. Because as a player for 5th edition, I feel like a lot of the times I end up making similar characters, no matter how hard I try to make them sizably different. They just end up feeling very, very, very cookie cutter, very
boxed in,
exactly.
Yeah, I've definitely caught myself more than once going into a mechanic that I know I'm overcomplicating because of hangovers that I have from 3.5 that I'm trying to make, and that's not the case. So I'm just making more work on myself than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that when I first started playing, I think killed me was the inability to make things permanent. That's all. We've talked before about a character that I did for a while there. He was a prismatic wizard, and what he wanted to do was dye everything and color everything. He was going to color code stuff for the teams. And I was like, oh, that'll be great. I'll use all these different spells to do it. And they're like, no, there's no permanency. You can't do that. And I was like, oh no. And that killed 5th edition for me for a while.
That's understandable. It was definitely a gear shift for some of the familiar spells for me, and just things that I know to be true, and then it's just like, oh, it doesn't do this anymore.
Yeah, that's not how it works in 5th edition. Is something that I have to say a lot to Steve.
And then I get to rant and rave for like 10 minutes about why that doesn't make sense, and then accept the ruling regardless, because she's the DM.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So you are the author of...
No. I'm gonna on that same vein that we were just speaking on.
Okay.
If you could have a spell in real life, is there a spell that you would have in your everyday?
Oh, it would have to be Magic Missile. Like, just straightforward. That is just the wizard's spell. But if I couldn't get something, as evocative as that, Prestidigitation just is so limitless.
It really is. It has become...
Hey, you can do literally everything as long as it's small.
Prestidigitation, yeah. It wasn't like that initially. Man, has it gotten super big, and I love it. It's a very versatile spell now.
So you are the author of the wonderful supplements, the Sora Esma's trinkets. Oh my gosh, I have lost the name in my brain.
He's Sora Esma the whole time. He's been Sora Esma. I'm concerned now.
That is definitely something that when I cracked open the 5th edition player's handbook and I saw that table of 100 trinkets, my mind just raced, because what an amazing thing to just have these slightly magical treasures that you can just dole out whenever you want to.
Now, in the literal hundreds, or possibly thousands, you would know the number of trinkets you've created. Which one, singular, is your favorite?
So my favorite trinket out of and it's like 1,570 that I have published so far. My favorite one are the pair of Fernian trousers that begin to smolder when someone wearing them starts to tell a lie.
Oh my goodness, that is fantastic.
I think that encompasses all of what a trinket should be, because it trinkets should be like a nod to something. Like
so many of mine
the dead
are
fairy in a bottle, from the original list.
From the original, I think that is because I didn't initially like trinkets. When we first started 5th edition and I was given a trinket, I was like, oh, that's an interesting little thing. Maybe it'll have more power. Maybe it'll come up later on. And then the first DM I had when I first started playing 5th edition used it and made it an overpowered magic item and made it unbearably powerful, and I hated all of that. And then, so when we went back through and I started playing with Rebecca's game, and the trinkets were more balanced, more fun, I really enjoyed just like the little nods and things like that. And
Which trinket did I give you?
I don't remember. I'd
Good.
have to look at my...
I don't remember either.
Because I was going to say, I have it on my character sheet. But then I started picking up other little trinkets and small things like that, and then eventually started like trying to track down those ridiculous little pieces of nothing that don't mean anything long term. They're not super powered, but they make it feel more real. They make it feel more engaging, and I really do like them now.
What's your favorite house rule?
I'm still a fan of fumbles. I know you can't really fumble on skills, but I enjoy fumbles. Hitting that nat 1 can just be it's a DM's playground.
I agree with that one, yeah, because we do that in our 3-5 game all the time, and I'm like, yes, you lose your weapon, it gets sucked off the lightning rail.
That's true.
I think that is I've heard so many complaints about the fumble tables and how it's just too much and too punishing. But man, is it just nice sometimes, especially when you have a team. If they end up critting and you're like, man, this just feels no fun. They're killing everything too easy, and you're like, all right, now they fucked up. I get to do something with it.
Absolutely.
Steven, it's your turn to ask a question.
That's not fair.
Yeah, it is.
What kind of nonsense is that?
Yeah, it's nonsense. You get the fun questions, though. I'm asking the normal ones.
What the hell are you talking about? I get the fun questions.
Yeah, ask a fun question.
What's a fun question?
I don't know.
Do you have a favorite monster in D&D?
The Displacer Beast has always been one of my favorites, and my first Eberron character was very, very much all about the Displacer Beast.
Did he have like the whole just get up? Was he like El Displacer Beasto?
He was. He
like
was
a Mexican luchador wrestler. Just
he was an heir to House Thorani, and the best way to describe him is he was a brat prince, like very much like Lestat. Obviously, he was older than the Shadow Schism, as most elves tend to be, but
of course,
he saw that as such a fortuitous thing that his house was going places, and he was just such a brat. And in 3.5, there were the feat trees that you could take to where you could. He was an urban druid, so you could have the Displacer Beast companion. You could wild shape into a Displacer Beast, and his whole mechanics were just about all of that.
I think that is always fun to do, those type of characters where you have that entire concept. We had a gentleman in one of our games play a character called the Glacier, and he was just he was a wrestler, and he had like that whole cold theme to it. I'm like, oh man, that's just fun. That's just a fun time to have a character, and that's your entire premise for them.
Yeah, themed characters can be so fun. He even had his hide armor was made of blink dog hide, like just all about Displacer Beasts, and of course being blink dogs, their natural enemies. It's just I leaned into it super hard.
So, if you got isekai'd into Eberron, what one item would you have with you?
So,
if you need me to explain the question.
I was going to say, for our listeners who don't know what that question means, what Rebecca's saying is if you could introduce one real-world item into Eberron, what would that be? You cool anime nerd, you.
Right. I don't know if much as I would introduce something new as adapt Eberron to something that I usually have. And usually what I have are trip pants with abnormally large pockets. So having pockets of holding, I think, would just be fantastic, because I carry a lot of stuff in my pockets anyway. Being able to carry more stuff would just be even better.
Cargo pants of holding? Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to have to add that in now. Kevin, calm down. So, I do have... I have a question, and I think you are probably the person who is most capable of giving me this answer here. How did the morning happen, Jarrod? How did the morning happen?
So everything that you've heard, every theory, all of it, it is just the singular most overlapping oopsie-daisy in Eberron's history. It was the siege magic going awry. It was an overlord breaking out. It was Danelle making a bargain with the dark powers of Ravenloft. It's just everything. They're all correct, but they keep thinking they're canceling each other out because there's no way that it could possibly be that catastrophic.
And there was that one guy in the middle of Metrol who's like, I'm going to cast Prestidigitation as a 9th level spell. That's what caused it. That's what pushed it over the edge.
Epic level Prestidigitation.
Though I do have to say my favorite pet theory is that it wasn't even Galifar's nation that was targeted. I like to think that it was something that was targeting the kingdom of Metrol or even a Dakani province, and it was just more or less a time release epic spell. But when the caster or casters enacted this, they did not foresee that Metrol would fall or the Dakani Empire would be no more. And it just happened to be that the Jewel of Galifar suffered from another kingdom's magical backlash.
See, I really like that one because that explains why it's just Metrol shaped.
Yeah, that's one of those little pieces of information that I really enjoy, just the shape that it follows.
That is a very nice.
Yeah, because otherwise it would cover.
Yeah, that's why I've always been curious of that. But it's the Borders of Sire. But I mean, where were the Borders of Sire that particular day? It feels a little yeah. There was a 100-year war, and it's I'm not sure where the borders were. I don't have any other questions, so look at me. I've got nothing. Rebecca, you're the professional adult here. That's it for us. No.
Jarrod, where can people find your amazing stuff? And you, in general.
Well, good luck finding stuff. Come on. We need to know that too.
All of my DM's Guild products are, of course, on the DM's Guild. All four of my Sora Esma's cart of trinket supplements, as well as the adventures that I wrote for the Across Eberron Path and the Bana standalone adventure. On Twitter, I am just Sora Kel, or I think my handle's Son of Kel. It's one of those.
Can confirm is Son of Kel.
And that's basically it. If you already know my name, you can hunt me down on Facebook. That's easy enough.
Please do not hunt him down. I don't want to be
really
responsible for that.
And then anywhere on any Discord or any other medium, I'm always going to be Dragonblood 472.
I highly recommend anyone who is listening to this out of character, fun little guy, to go spend your money on all of it. Bana is hilariously fun. The Sora Esma trinkets are just chef kiss.
Absolutely perfect.
Just give this man your money. He deserves it.
And as always, whenever we do these out of character things, if you are not a fan of the Eberron Discord yet, you should be. Join already. You can talk to this wonderful gentleman anytime, as well as us.
Or don't.
No,
but you should
do
it.
Do.
Yeah,
no,
do
don't
it.
or
Yeah,
don't.
do
Why would you or don't? Don't give them the option. Do it now or else. There will be consequences. I'm not sure what the consequences are yet. I don't know.
Yeah. Jarrod, what are the consequences?
Oh, I guess that means I get to hunt them down.
Oh, nice.
Shit.
Nice. There we go. I was going to just say disadvantage from this point forward. I will find your DM. I'm calling your DM and you're getting disadvantage on everything.
Because all DMs know each other. Everybody knows that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're all actually in a secret DM mass Facebook page. Every DM across the world.
I wanted to do that for one of the, because I was like, how are we going to do Extra Life stuff this year? And I was like, what if we did a live stream and then during the live stream we gave out people inspiration to use with their DMs? And I was like, how would I enforce that? How would I enforce their DM gives them inspiration?
Hey, these people on this stream said so.
If your DM has a problem with it, you call me and you give me their information. I will call them directly. I will put them on blast on Twitter for all 15 of our followers.
So I'd like to thank you again for joining us, for talking with us, for doing stupid stuff with us.
Fantastic voices. Those of you who are listening now, we did a whole conversation ahead of time, and Jarrod has the best King Candy voice that I've ever heard. It's either King Candy or I automatically think of Mary Poppins, the older gentleman from Mary Poppins who loves to laugh.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute blast just listening to Jarrod just rattle off different voices and have a ton of fun.
Super cool person. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
End scene.
End scene.
Yeah, I don't know how to say that that's the end properly during these. Exit stage right. Pursued by a bear. Yeah, gotta go Shakespeare, bro. Whew. Okay, so.
Okay. And welcome back. Yeah, look at that. We're pretending like we're there.
Yeah.
We've been joining you on this whole process. Oh my god, it's so
we
exciting.
haven't actually, though.
Two other things before we jump into the last interview that we have here. The first is we are still have the feat quiz. What is it? Survey?
The feat survey? I thought that it had been decided already.
I mean, I guess it has been decided. You're right. You're right. What's the other thing that we have that's available at the moment? And I was going to mention...
Nothing.
Do you remember what that was?
No, the Patreon one's already done.
The Patreon one is done. If you are a patron, we are now sending out our $10 patron letters as thank yous to all of you. Wow, we love you guys so much.
So sorry that they're very late.
It took a little longer than we anticipated.
If you were a $10 patron last month, you will be getting a letter.
10 or above.
10 or above in the next, hopefully, handful of days. I have to go down to the post office because the post office doesn't like it when you put wax stamps on things.
Yeah, it's not just letters. We sent a little things along. Hopefully you guys like it. If you are not a $10 patron, now's the time to join before we send these out, because if not, we'll have to wait till next month to do it again.
Yeah.
For those who are $10 next month. Maybe we'll do something for the $10 worth this month and a little something extra next month too.
Yeah.
As a thank you for everything that you guys have done.
Yeah, honestly. So our next interview is with Matthew Booth, also known as Regitnui. We met him on a Discord server, on the Discord server that we've talked about so much. And
he is the Traveler. Oh my goodness,
yes,
he was good as the Traveler.
He played our Traveler and was spooky, and he messages us a lot. He's a fan of the show, and that's why he joined us.
We should have delayed and had him be our spooky Traveler for Halloween.
Oh, we should. Sorry, my ferret's doing really weird things in her cage. So please enjoy our next interview.
So how do you say your full username?
Regitnui.
Regitnui.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm not going to lie. There's a reason why we just call you Reg.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna mispronounce that so hard.
I've heard it said Regitnui occasionally, but it's Regitnui, softer G. I've had this one identity since I was, well, I don't want to say knee high to a grasshopper because I've always been tall, so knee high to an elephant. Always been knee high to an elephant. Anyway. But yeah, Reg is the easiest way just to abbreviate that. I've had it since I was barely still stepping onto the internet back when YouTube had the funny logo and Google was still thinking, let's not be evil. That's still thinking that not being evil was making them different.
A good idea.
Or at least pretending not to be evil. Okay.
It's because the headphones are really old.
Okay, I was I'm getting a little bit of feedback on that.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Rugaboo has been my username since the days of Gaia Online. Back when I was a wee little middle schooler doing really bad role play before I knew D&D was a thing on Gaia.
There's always a moment when the role players go, wait, there's an entire genre of games and I haven't heard of this? How long has it been going on? Like, the first D&D books I got were a torrent of 3.5 books, 9 gigabytes full of it. I still got that particular torrent. And I pretty much... And I read through the core books. Okay, interesting. I read through the monster manuals. It was fun. And then I picked up the Eberron Campaign setting, and I was like, this is what I'm sorted. I don't need to read anything else. I'm good. I just read through the entire 3.5 Eberron catalog, and I was like, okay, I'm hooked. This is the setting I want to play in. I want to play Eberron. I don't just want to play D&D. I want to play Eberron.
I think it's funny that we're doing this backwards. We're doing interview first instead of recording first.
I think that might help though, because you get a little bit of actual interaction as opposed to doing it makes the interview better. Man, see, I started way before all that stuff.
You're also old.
Yeah, but like D&D and
actually,
I had a weird
think you guys are
for a very long time.
Equivalent age. Because I know that there are some people who I thought were really old that are really young. Like Chaos is 2 years younger than me.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it's really intimidating because he knows a lot of stuff.
Someone commented today that they were like 29 on something, and I was like, oh, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Well, I'm 29, so would you guess that?
No, Reg, I would have guessed solidly in your 40s. I just assume anyone with the British accent automatically authoritarian and just give you an extra 20 years.
It's not British. Wow.
I'm sorry. It is a authoritarian type accent. I know it is South African, sir. I'm aware.
Believe it or not, this is not a South African accent. I actually stand out from other South Africans when I speak.
I have to say you are the first South African I've ever met. So
the South African accent is a bit tighter on the vowels. I think that's right. I'm not very good at it. If you speak proper Afrikaans, as jy suiwer Afrikaans praat, dis a distinct accent. It carries over to your English. I was born English in an English part of the country, and until I was about 8, I don't think I ever heard someone speak Afrikaans outside of school. So it was like,
that explains it. Okay, all right. I have a lot of that myself. See,
it's really judgy, Steve.
Do a lot of the because I was like, fuck it sounds very English. I'm sorry, I thought it sounded English, and I was like, and Rebecca's like, it's not English.
I don't know. It doesn't. That is not a proper English accent.
No, it's not. But I mean, the define proper English accent. How many people do we know from England who have very
proper English? A proper English accent probably sounds like you have a potato in your mouth.
Yeah, it does.
And honestly, listen to Sefi in the Manifest Zone. She's from London. She should have a Londonish accent.
She definitely has a very Londoner accent. We've got 2 buddies who one of them lives in Sunderland, which is near Newcastle, and the other one's Welsh. So
I love accents, man. I love accents.
Accents are fun.
They are. They're super fun. They are solidly fun.
Reg.
Hi.
If there was a magical creature from D&D that you could bring over into the real world, what would it be?
Oof, that's a big question.
Yeah, you as the author of the Naturalist Guide to Eberron, I felt like this was a proper question.
Honestly, just being practical, it would probably be either a Tressum or a pseudo-dragon.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Because basically one's just a cat and the other one's a cat with dragon, a dragon-shaped cat.
Okay, let's say throw practicality out the window. Screw practicality.
That is a bigger question.
We can narrow it. It would be your pet. It would be like your best bud.
Yeah, I'd probably still have to go with probably a pseudo dragon, or maybe a blink dog, something reasonably sized but not big. I'm not particularly big on, no pun intended, not particularly enthused about having something bigger than me as a pet. So probably pseudo dragon would be my final answer generally.
Steve.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, no, I'm asking you now. Is your laugh? You're over here giggling.
Yeah, because it's easy for me to giggle when I'm not on the receiving end of a weird question.
Like this, yes.
I'd probably anything from D&D gets to be my pet. I'd probably go Chimera, just because it's a complicated. Like that would make everything.
Are Chimera sentient?
I don't know, Rebecca. I have no idea at the moment. Normally, I would check the intelligence score, but I can't check everything there, Rebecca.
Have you guys seen the baby's bestiary or baby bestiaries?
Who worked on who did the baby bestiary?
I don't know their name, but I can probably come up their studio. You know how people are; they'll have a studio or a name they work under. I can probably find it quickly. Metal Weave Games. Andreas Walters, I think that's how you say it. But anyway, that's basically probably the most gorgeous. Those are probably the most gorgeous little baby monsters I've ever seen. That entire series, both of those books. I mean, do you want to? If you've ever seen like a baby Rakshasa, it looks cute. Oh,
I feel like baby Rakshasas would actually be like terrifying.
Well, Eberron Rakshasas don't come in baby sizes. They're immortals. They just kind of pop into the world fully formed.
No, they wouldn't.
Pop.
They just exist.
Yeah. Just obnoxiously continuing to reform. Like, be a baby. No. Be a baby. No.
Yeah, 100% on that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got dragon head, it's got goat head, it's got a lion head. It's going to be a great time.
So I've got a question.
It can fly.
Is it three separate digestive tracts, or is it one?
It's not going to matter. I'll feed.
I can put on my red hat and tell you. I actually did go.
We have the gentleman from the Natural God.
Yes, you did.
I did actually write this down. It's mostly a mammalian animal. Despite the appearances, it has very little to do with dragons. The three heads are all connected to same digestive tract, the same stomach, and often it's a common problem with three-headed or multiply headed animals that they will, when they are young, they will overeat each baby head, thinking it also needs to eat as much as the other heads do. They grow out of this by their adolescence. So a chimera, despite three heads, is more or less one intelligence, and especially one stomach. It's not going to try and kill you when it's already eaten someone else. Just because if the dragon head eats your companion, you're not going to have the lion head try to eat you, because it knows it's eaten.
That is interesting. Now, if I charm the goat head, does that mean that I've also charmed the dragon head and the lion head?
Well, it's a difficult situation. This is why most guides in the area of Zelago, especially those mountains, I forget the name, which specific mountain range they are in, but that's why harpies are often the best guides, because they can simultaneously charm all three heads just with their song. So it's much easier for them. I'm honest, I'm glad to say that I have never been in the situation where I would need to try and charm individual heads of a chimera, but I have been told that you can pull it off with a specialized casting, that you can charm all three heads simultaneously.
So is it omnivorous or is it carnivorous? Because it's got like the goat head, and goats don't eat meat.
Believe it or not, Alufi, goats are actually omnivorous. They will eat pretty much anything. So if you starve a goat, it will start to eat the wood of its fence. Not very well. It will chew on it mostly. It doesn't get much nutrition out of it. It's sort of a last resort in that case. But it a chimera as a whole is actually a carnivore, and it's actually quite a sadistic carnivore as well. It will catch prey it cannot eat or has not time to eat, and will put it into a pen of sorts, like a natural canyon, and let it run around there. I explained this in my book, that it will often also leave its cubs there. It's suspected it's a sort of training for the little cubs, that they will have a panicked or tired prey item in that area for the cubs to practice on.
So, Reg, tell us a little bit about the Naturalist's Guide.
Hey, see, you know a thing or two about it. Well, yeah, tell us about it.
Well, basically, the Naturalist's Guide started because I wanted to exercise my writing muscles with something easy, just something light and quick. Because I've honestly had the hardest time committing to a long form thing. Like, I've maybe gotten 6 or 7, maybe 10 pages into projects and just skipped a day, then skipped another day, and then I come back and I'm like, what was I even thinking with this? So the Naturalist's Guide has a lot of stopping points. It's very nice. It's quite nice and easy. The longest continuous piece of writing is the maybe 2.5 pages short story at the beginning. The first one, if you've read that one, was actually quite a bit more raunchy when I originally wrote it. It got cleaned up for the Dungeon Masters Guild.
I do remember and going, oh my.
Yeah, it was a bit more explicit. Not to the point of porn parody, but it was a bit more explicit in its dancing around the subject matter, as opposed to just, oh, they kissed really strongly.
I mean, we've all written stuff like that. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if you listened to the Candle fanfic that I posted it off topic a few days ago.
I actually don't think I have. I kind of skipped it because I have no idea what those candles are.
That's totally fine. Yankee, yeah, it's don't.
Yeah, you kind of get. The funny thing is that down here in South Africa, you get a lot of American media. So if you say a media franchise, I can probably relate. But you asked me about some specific brand, and it's a toss-up because we're part of the Commonwealth. I can get stuff from the UK, from the UK, from America, the two big ones. But we trade with a lot of people. With a lot of mineral wealth we have, there's a lot of imports and exports going on around here. So, like, I've got Bovril in my fridge, and I don't think in my pantry, and I don't think that's a big thing in America.
And it was right here when we had some very, very fun technical difficulties, where we forgot where we were, we couldn't talk to each other, so this is us picking up kind of where we left off, talking about and fangirling over the inevitables. Here you are.
I'm not sure where we were.
Yeah, that should exist.
I named a character on Hydroid because I love them so much, and he's a monster, and
I had no idea that's where that name came from.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought that it was supposed to be like Egyptian or something.
He had an actual name, and he was off one day exploring and doing his thing, and as he came back over a dune, he watched as this monstrous machine destroyed everything, all of his people, the entire city, all just completely gone.
He was one of those weird like sand swimmer guys, right?
Yeah, he was at Ashrati. Yeah, he was like,
yeah, that's what they were called. I have an entirely different rant prepared for those, but let's not do that.
Oh my god! Yeah, let's hear the Ashrati. Oh my god! I didn't realize
to actually do
so much anger. No, this is a great conversation, Rebecca.
It's not specifically Asherati, but more just the whole thing about that series of books. That it's wet outside, it's dry outside, it's okay. Sorry,
it's cold outside. It's wet outside, it's dry outside, it's cold outside, yeah.
Stormscape, whatchamacallit, who's at that thing?
It's Stormwreck, Sandstorm, and then Frostburn.
Okay, yeah. My main problem is that those all seem to have this massive love for replacing, or for basically saying, you know what? You want to play a halfling? Here, you can play a wet halfling. Or you can play a dry halfling. Or here's a dry goblin. But why are you just playing the same game in a different environment when you could just use the stuff you've already got to play that same game in a different environment? Don't give me a buka that's basically, oh, I am goblin. I wear dry leather instead of wet leather because I live in a desert cave instead of a horribly stinky cave in the middle of a forest. Give me something interesting, something I can work with. Like,
okay.
What do desert dwellers look at and say, "Oh my god, those things are creepy as fuck"? They don't. They shouldn't say that for a goblin because a goblin is a goblin. They should say that's something specific.
The Asherati were also a very fucking creepy people. I will give you that. And I will give you that the Uldra and Neanderthals and everything in fucking Frostburn, a lot of those races were confusing. But Handozi and Stormwreck, fantastic.
Oh yeah, I love Hadozi. I would honestly put them
book worth it.
I would honestly put them straight into Eberron if I could figure out a place that I liked. My first instinct was on the coast of Zendrik, but I'm kind of against the whole coast stuffing everything in Zendrik idea now because honestly 90% of the Naturalist's Guide could be it's in Zendrik, next entry, it's in Zendrik, next entry, it's in Zendrik, next entry.
Every one of them takes place on their own specific island of the teeth. Just they're on that tooth, they're on that tooth, they're on that one.
Yeah, like I could do that easy, but it's not as creative. Yeah, that's why I put. Sorry, that's why I put Adakokra in Donvi instead of in Zendrik because they're over there. These things are so associated with the forces of law in their default lore. Did I pronounce that differently? That why not put them on the plane of lore as mortals that just gets along there by just continuing to be what they are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and that's why I like finding the different places for the different creatures of Eberron. It's really a lot of fun, and Keith did so much work on that, and then just allows you to do more. And you're like, oh, I'm not sure what to do with it. And he's like, here are these 30 options for where it could have come from, and that's just fantastic.
Keith is a good creator. I love him. I actually want to meet him. That's why I tried to come to Gen Con twice. Because I know he would be at Gen Con and I wanted to meet him.
We've met him twice. 3 times, 4 times, something like that.
You know what that is? That is American nerd privilege.
It is. It solidly is. We went to PAX 2 times in a row, and we met him both times. And then while we were at PAX for those days, we kept finding him and running into him casually. And
it became an in joke. Whenever we would see someone with a hat similar to his, we'd be like, "Is that Keith Baker?" So this dork. So Steven's birthday was right around PAX Unplugged last year, and Meeps, our roommate, had gotten Steve the Rising from the Last War, and he was like, "I'm gonna have Keith Baker sign it." And so we come over because he had texted me saying, "Hey, I'm having Keith sign it now." So we came over to the booth because he was trying out the Adventure Zone board game. He was doing that demo with Keith, and I see Keith duck behind the booth really quick because he was like secretly signing the book because Meeps had asked him to sign it really quick. He ducked behind the booth and like walked up and handed the book to Steve and was like, "Happy birthday!" And I'm just like, "What?"
He's such a cool guy. He really is. He's the nicest.
Yeah. I actually bought the Eberron Campaign setting and the Eberron Campaign guide, the 3.5 and 4 and 4e books. And I was actually going to I actually had them delivered to a friend of mine who lives in Indianapolis. She was on the server. I'm not sure if she still is. And I was going to stay with her, and we were going to go to Gen Con, and we were going to meet Keith, and I was going to get them to sign them in person. But they were delivered to her from Dungeon Masters Guild, but I wasn't. So she got them signed and got them sent to me.
Oh, no.
So I've
Well,
actually
at least
got
you got
those
them
two
signed,
signed.
right?
Yeah, I've got those two signed.
You
If I manage to get to Gen Con, I've got 2 new books to bring: Exploring Eberron and Rising.
We'll have to just stalk him at Gen Con and get him to sign it.
Yeah.
I've had him sign like 4 books now, because every time we go, I bring another book, and I have a monsters manual. I have the 3.5 fancy guy monsters manual. Like the shiny one that everyone's like, ooh. And I had him sign that and do art on top of the coatl. I've had some other people sign it as well. It's super fun, and that's my new thing, is getting people to sign that monsters manual.
Joe Cat did the.
Oh, Joe Cat, yeah.
Did he draw his Joe Crap persona on it?
No, he did.
No.
He did. He turned the mind flayer into a mind raver, and like made it like
a big afro,
like a big
and
afro.
then put glow sticks in its hand.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Nice.
An artist friend of mine, because I have one that I have like, oh, hey, you're famous, sign this one, and then, hey, I know you when we play D&D, sign this one. So they're 2 very different monsters manuals. One is the first book I ever had for D&D, so like I absolutely love it. And he took that one and turned it into a mindlennial, and he's drinking a frappe, boba tea,
yeah.
and then he only eats brains off of avocado toast. It's just the best.
I've just had this mental picture of a mind flayer holding all these humans and elves and whatever hostage, and the only thing that they can eat, the only thing in this entire prison, is an avocado tree. And the mind flayer only eats their brains once they've been properly seasoned by eating enough avocado.
It's got the healthy fat. It's got the good fat in it,
The good fat in it. Jesus.
And that was it, guys. Thank you so much again to both Jarrod and Matthew, DB and Regitnui, as we genuinely call them here at the house.
You don't get to be Matthew in the house. No, you get
No,
Reg.
you're Reg.
And DB.
And DB. Anyway, I thank you guys both, because I know that you guys are listening, for doing this and helping with our project. And thank you everybody else who's listening and decided to sit in on this just bunch of silly stuff.
Also, thank you for the people who've reached out to us and are like, hey, I have this idea for your podcast. Hey, I want to do this voice in your podcast. We really appreciate hearing that. We may not get to work in every idea or work with everyone who puts it in, but we love hearing from you guys.
Entirely. It's really easy to get a hold of us. Typically, if you start talking about the Echoers on the Eberron Discord or on Reddit or something, we get tagged. Somebody tags us. Somebody will be like, hey, you guys. And then we get to just geek out with you because it's so nice talking to
we get to pretend we're pretend famous for the day.
Anyway, thank you so much again for listening, and I hope that everybody has a wonderful rest of your week.
We look forward to seeing you this far. Bye, guys.
Bye.